You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down.
It's just that simple. Watch One American News. Welcome to the program, everybody from the Edge of America. I'm Rick Amato. President Obama has proven to be the Teflon president on such matters as the killing of 4 Americans in Benghazi, the IRS being used as a weapon to target and silence those with different political views and opinions. These 2 examples, of course, are seen as false scandals by the mainstream media and have never resonated with the American public as something of great importance or concern to the American public. But President Obama and those around him may now find themselves in a scandal which the media cannot ignore, and one likely to draw fire from both Democrats and Republicans alike, unlike Benghazi and the IRS. And that is because of this unacceptable mismanagement of the VA healthcare system, with details now coming out of secret wait lists for veterans, fraud, and other stories such as the death of 40 veterans as a result of mismanagement at a Phoenix VA facility. On top of all that, President Obama was informed back in 2008 of the growing problems within the VA system, but his administration did nothing to solve them. It has grown and become worse under his management, and now those chickens may be coming home to roost. Joining me at this time from the Independent Women's Forum is a national security and foreign policy analyst named Amber Rose. Amber also served in the U.S. Army as a attack helicopter pilot. She served in both Iraq and Afghanistan. Amber, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Rick. It's great to be back.
All right, so Amber, it's devastating. I mean, let's put the politics aside for the moment. It's just unimaginable that we are treating any U.S. citizen, let alone our returning military veterans, with secret wait lists, people not getting the proper treatment, leading to 40 deaths, as we said, in Phoenix, deaths elsewhere. What else can you tell us about this?
Yeah, it's unacceptable. It's disgusting that veterans who have served our nation in a time of war, and they are being treated this way by their own government due to an truly infected culture from the top all the way down, as we've seen these ethical breaches, the secret waste lists, the ghost clinics, the willingness to look aside and transfer people or put employees who want to do the right thing, almost punish them. Like you said, President Obama has known, and their answer is to throw money at the problem instead of get down to the bottom of it, bring accountability back into the system, and allow it to transform back to a customer service-oriented organization that it was intended to do.
As bad as things have, the things that have been revealed, as bad as they are, how much worse does this story get in your estimation?
Well, as we've seen since the story broke, it's continuing to grow. And this isn't a problem that happened in April. It's a systemic issue that's been going on for some time. The Department of Veterans Affairs has paid out over $200 million in wrongful death suits since 9/11 to over almost 1,000 families. So this is a system-wide issue. It's nothing new, but what is the cover-up. That's what's new, is that them trying to cook the books, to avoid telling the truth. And now even with the most newest case in New Mexico, they're already saying that since Shinseki announced that there would be a department-wide audit, that people within these different VA facilities across the nation are destroying evidence.
Oh, it's disgusting. Amber Barno, why do you believe this culture exists? As you say, there have been growing problems since 9/11, but never have we seen the corruption of a cover-up until now under this administration. Why do you believe that culture of corruption exists within the VA system under this president?
Because there's no accountability. The VA has grown into jobs.gov. That's where you go to file or to try to get a federal job, that can take up to a year just to sort of get through the paperwork process. So then you have this gap in employment if you do manage to get someone fired. And then it's like, okay, what are you going to do with that year gap? Then you're under employed, basically, with people serving veterans.
Yeah, but Amber, the federal government has always existed prior to this administration, obviously. Federal agencies have existed. There's been big bureaucracy. Something changed this time.
Well, it's grown. The VA is the second largest department in the federal government, and even Secretary Shinseki mentioned in his testimony last Thursday that this is not a funding issue. The VA has the assets, the resources, the personnel. What's lacking is accountability, and really this infected culture that's been allowed to fester and only has gotten worse since 2009. We saw the backlog increase. We saw facilities across the nation in Pittsburgh, Atlanta, North Carolina, New Mexico, and Phoenix, where they've almost had 40 people die as a result of those secret waiting lists. And so it's a lack of accountability culture. That's really what it boils down to. There's not much oversight. There needs to be more transparency and more flexibility within the department as well.
And you are calling for Shinseki to either be fired or resign. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Secretary Shinseki is a retired career military officer. He served his country honorably and well, and we appreciate that. But the time has come where he knows that leadership means leading by example. And he has failed America's veterans as the Secretary of the VA. And so it's time for him to take some accountability, take that first step, and resign and let somebody else come in and start over that's really going to reform the VA. Unfortunately, as long as he has President Obama's confidence, that's not going to happen. And President Obama continued to say that he has full confidence in Shinseki.
Yeah, well, we'll see how long that lasts. I agree with you. It's time for him to resign or be fired. Let me just say this. First of all, thank you for joining us. Amber Barno from the Independent Women's Forum, National Security Forum Policy Analyst. On the political front, this is different than Benghazi, than the IRS, because it is bipartisan. There'll be bipartisan outrage, and there will be, because this shows the importance of why it is so important to elect combat veterans to Congress of both political stripes, both Democrat and Republican. This president, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it right now, this president will not be able to duck this issue because he's going to get heat from both the left and the right for his unacceptable incompetence of the management of this situation under his watch. It's not going to just come from the right. It's going to come from the left and the right, because combat veterans have been successfully elected to Congress in both the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. Amber Barno, thanks for joining us. So who will be our Jag Offer today? It's next.